This is Oklahoma City. At 621 square miles, is the fourth largest city in area in the United States. With rapid development in the last 40 years and the large expanse of the city is straining the infrastructure and services. And with more development happening every day, can the city maintain this growth? Is this a sustainable path? What started out as a few blocks in 1890 quickly blossomed in the 20th century into a much larger community.
What better way to describe Oklahoma City than a city on the march? People on the move. People with a pleasant purpose in life, helping the community and the state march forward.
We are the land run community. We did start growing when the land run came in, but it was a very concentrated area when the land run people came here and started developing our city limits and our boundaries. And then we had a couple of waves of outward expansion.
The first wave of outward expansion happened in the 1960s. That's when the city annexed large tracts of land.
I do know it was a different era and a different day where Oklahoma City was able to capture more property tax than we do today. The property tax structure has changed since the 60s, where we don't get as much property tax as the city once did. So, of course, at that time, it seems like when you start to capture all the land around all of these interstates and all of these water reservoirs, it would be a positive thing.
Oklahoma City now operates mainly off of sales tax revenue rather than property taxes.
Well, you could weigh and debate whether or not it was smart of our city leadership in the 50s and 60s to expand from a relatively small city limits to a gigantic city limits. It did protect our sales tax base. If you look at a map, you'll see that they annexed the corridors where the interstate highways were built. They were very strategic and smart. In many ways, we almost say a prayer and thank them, for protecting this corridor or that corridor, because now when the retail locates there, it's inside our city limits and it allows us to hire police officers and firefighters.
The Oklahoman's business reporter Steve Lackmeyer and business editor Don Mecoy recently toured areas of Oklahoma City that have seen a sharp rise in development in the last 2 decades.
So we're on Kilpatrick Turnpike. That was built in the 90s. And most of Turnpike was built between right-of-way acquired by the state or city way back when, back in the 60s. So when I moved here in the mid-70s with my family, you had this wide median, as wide as the Turnpike is. So we're turning onto westbound Memorial. Now you've had this Chisholm Creek on both sides of the Turnpike being built. You've got Main Event over here, they're building something next door, but all of this is land that was kind of the last undeveloped pocket on Memorial Road. Perimeter growth is a problem that Oklahoma City Mayor Mick Cornett says he would like to see come to an end.
I don't think it's sustainable, no. Now, there's different ways to look at sustainable. Is it sustainable on a transportation effort? Is it sustainable economically? Those are really different questions. But no, you can't look and say you can continue to expand on the edges forever and somehow that's not going to collapse on itself. And it's so puzzling to me why, that city staff and the city council and mayors, me included, I suppose, I'm probably guilty at some point, even though I try not to be, is we allow density on the perimeter. In other words, we allow large apartment complexes to be built way out there. Because we have a lot of regrettable apartment complexes inside the city limits. Seems to me like it'd be better to tear one of those down and then build a new one there, as opposed to having deteriorating apartment complexes and then adding new ones on the perimeter.
So Oklahoma City is unique because we have rural areas inside our city limits. That is very unusual. So the challenge that it provides is that we've extended our arterial street network pretty much, north and south, east and west across our giant municipality. So we provide trash service, we have to maintain those roads, a lot of rural land at a very high cost to provide services. And that's a unique challenge for Oklahoma City, whereas most cities that are urbanized have that balance of growth that generates revenues, and then the revenues pay for supporting services. So with us relying mostly on sales tax, with a large land area that's not generating much sales tax, we have a lot less to go a lot further.
The city has played catch up for several generations, struggling to widen roads to meet the increasing traffic demands.
So the city size being very large is a challenge. And the biggest challenge is that it's spread out as we are. The city staff, when we talk specifically about public works and our street maintenance crews, we have 225 crew that are responsible for the entire city. We resource the best that we can. We address the needs the best also with the funds that are available.
Oklahoma City created a new comprehensive plan with stricter guidelines for future growth.
It's going to help us align our growth areas with our projects, making sure that the funds available for the next bond issue are efficiently spent.
The new comprehensive plan, however, did a very detailed service efficiency analysis and looked at the land that was not yet developed to see how well we could serve new growth in those areas. And so this plan is a lot more detailed. It provides a land use plan map that directs growth where we can currently serve it and reserves areas for future urbanization for when we're ready to provide full service to that land. So it is a little bit of a smaller footprint.
To help alleviate some of the costs of future expansion, Oklahoma City has also adopted development impact fees. These fees are a charge assessed in suburbs and in other large cities to offset the costs of growth.
It's only a percentage of what we anticipate we will have to spend as a city to keep up with new development, but the funds that are generated by the private development to help pay for itself can then be diverted from the city having to put that money in the pot.
Traditionally in Oklahoma City, we have lists of projects that are unfunded. And that would include things like intersections that need signals. It might be an intersection that needs a turn lane. And in some cases, developers can assist in these projects, but in other cases, they weren't put in when the developments were small, they're needed, but they just are unfunded. What's good about the impact fee is once the collections begin next year, is we're going to have a new resource to fund those improvements.
You know, when we look at infrastructure and the need to widen roads, the need to signalize intersections, and all of those things are very expensive, that it's perfectly fair to ask those of us who are creating that new traffic load to participate.
Richard McCown, a development partner with Ideal Homes, has helped create several popular neighborhoods in the metro area.
If we had a more proactive approach, we could begin to really enter into the conversation about planning for permanence.
I think it's a different day all around, and I think that's part of the process of our city growing up, is that we've all been challenged with keeping up with the demands of growth. We've been very fortunate and very prosperous, and Oklahoma City is a wonderful place to live, but as we are, each department in the city is responsible for keeping up certain standards for our quality of life and our city services. And so part of that is just that we have leadership that is supportive of working together. The people that are in leadership positions in other city departments understand the value of collaboration and working together. The comprehensive plan process itself was something that I felt like really bridged understanding between departments of how the comprehensive plan can be a guide that helped them in their roles in their departments be more efficient and be able to deliver their services better. And so through that process, we were able to really start to have great conversations with utilities and public works and transit and parks and recreation. And I feel like we are all working together as a team at this point and all understand how to help each other do a better job.